Welcome back, everyone, to the Side Table. This is episode number 22.
Episode 22 of the Side Table.
Yes, and today we'll be hopefully elaborating more on our COVID talk. But let's do some ketchup and mustard.
Ketchup and mustard. I'm not a huge fan of mustard, although it does make a pretty good additive to some like sauces, like a Dijon mustard.
Oh yeah. What about honey mustard?
Honey mustard's good, but come on, that's not really mustard. That's just
That's fair. I feel like there's things in life that are an acquired taste, and one of them is mustard.
It does have a very sharp, acidic, very potent taste.
Yeah. The mustard I don't know if you remember, but the Founder's mustard I sent you. The beer one, the Fat Bastard mustard and the Centennial mustard.
When was this?
Oh, probably a month or two ago. It was in like a little glass jar, and it's mustard based off Founder's beer.
When did you send me that?
Oh, it was a while ago. Here, now you gotta make me pull up my phone.
I don't remember that.
I totally told you. I said, this is good. That means I have to go back through all of our texts.
That's all right. That'll take too long to go through it.
I'll
just take your word for it. You sent me a picture of this mustard.
I might have sent it to my dad.
You could have sent it to me, and I just assumed it was a picture of a beer.
Oh, I mean, that is a good assumption.
And I was like, okay, yep, another IPA. I don't care.
But it's... Oh, those cheese curds look awesome.
Yeah,
I sent it to my dad. Here, I'll send it to you again.
Okay. On the topic of cheese curds, I've always wanted to try poutine.
You know, what is poutine? Refresh me.
So it is it's like a bed of French fries with like fresh uncooked cheese curds with like chicken or beef gravy poured over top.
That sounds awesome.
It sounds like an amazing comfort food. Apparently pretty common in Canada.
Oh, I believe that. They have everything that's good over there.
Like healthcare and unemployment and...
Yeah, just friendliness. It's just all there. So I just sent you that picture, by the way.
I see it here.
It's like a little glass jar. Does it bring back any memories?
It does not, no.
Oh, well. It was good. It was very good. It's very good mustard. Very good sandwich mustard and pretzel dipping mustard. But what games are you playing, Joshua? What have you been playing? What have you been doing?
What have I been doing? It's been most of the same since last we spoke. I've been in Bloodborne. I'm running an arcane build, so I've been farming a lot of certain blood gems for a couple different weapon sets because I want to go. It's been a really fun run through, so I want to go ahead and New Game Plus it. So I figured I'd farm out some good stuff and some blood chunks before I New Game Plus it.
I just want to say this before I forget it, and then we'll go back to your Bloodborne stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
No, that's good.
In that boss run, I'm gonna send you that link to.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to apologize for my nasally voice, and if I breathe through my mouth a lot and you hear it, is my allergies are destroying me right now. And
it is that time of year.
I can't breathe through my nose at all. It's been a thing. I should have put on a nose strip before we started. But no, this guy that did that no-hit Bloodborne run through, he had this little bit because someone asked him if he was going to do a no-hit run through the Chalice dungeons, and he said, no, I fucking hate the Chalice dungeons. And his argument against the Chalice dungeons, I think, is my exact
your feeling towards them.
Opinion on them. And I don't remember the timestamp for it because I was just going to send you the timestamp, but it's in there. I think it's like 30 or 40 minutes in. So when you throw it on in the background and you're just occasionally watching it. When that comes up, it's he was just talking about how, like, I think the one thing and the thing I don't like about it is, well, one of the two things. Well, there's a couple things. It's not just two.
There's so many things.
Yeah. First one is like all the items you have to collect to get it, to partake in them, and the farming you have to do for them. Like you have to do dungeons specifically to get those items to advance. Not a fan of how that's done. The other one is I do like the concept and idea of procedurally
Generated.
I can't say that word. Yeah, generated content. I like the idea of that, to where technically a game is infinite.
But it's never quite comes out the way you imagine it, though.
No, it never does. It's like crafting for me, where the idea is really cool, but the execution and overall
Experience
experience
lacking.
of it, yeah, it just falls flat usually, or it's just very overwhelming, and there's a steep learning curve to get in when you're already playing a very hard game with a steep,
Yes.
Well, it's not a steep learning curve, but you just still like manage the game is hard. But and there was another one I forgot. There's a couple, and then but I do like the fact that they are completely optional, and you don't have to best the chalice dungeons to complete the game and enjoy the full game. But if you want to platinum, which is complete the game, so retract that part of what I just said.
I mean, but it doesn't. You're not required to complete the story. Just if you want to, have every single achievement.
So that was that's just my opinion on that. You already know that, but the viewers don't. So, back to your Bloodborne thing. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I just most of my playing at the moment has been farming in those chalice dungeons for those higher percentage, like arcane and bolt and fire blood gems. So
how long has it taken you? Have you gotten any of them?
I've gotten a few of them. I haven't gone for the best of the best ones because they typically require you to farm a boss, which means running through a layer, killing the boss, resetting it, running through the layer, killing a boss.
So you have to have all the materials multiple times in order to do that?
No. Once you've unlocked a certain dungeon and you enter the glyph, it doesn't cost you any materials to create it.
Oh, that's nice.
So the materials are just required for your first endeavor into a particular dungeon.
So the initial.
Right, for each one.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good.
Right.
That you don't have to keep farming
the
materials to go back to farming what you wanted.
Correct.
That would be a pain in the butt.
It would be. And I sent you that link to that kind of shortcut way to do it.
Yeah.
And it uses there's a couple people who essentially save edit in some of those chalices to have the required things. So the shortcut method I did on this character, because I did it the long way on my first one, that I did it today, and that only took about an hour and a half to get it to where I could unlock most of these for farming gems. It doesn't get you to the story, but it gets you quickly into the gems.
Okay, I'm gonna have to do that. I think eventually for the New Game Plus playthrough that's on Pillow Talk right now.
Just to give you that little bit of an edge.
Yeah, because I got to Amygdala, the first one, yesterday, and none of the weapons I've been using recently have reach for the head.
Which is what you need for her.
Yeah, and the first time on this character, when I played it just through, vanilla game, it was easy enough because I was able to. Amygdala didn't do as much damage to me, but now he does a ton of damage and has a ton of health now in New Game Plus. It feels like I'm fighting the Chalice Dungeon Amygdala again, and so what I did was I went and plus 10 the scythe because I'm using the burial blade.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's really fun, but the arc in that is so weird. It's really hard for me right now to time the
hit on the head.
The nailing the head. And so I'm like, So I kind of was like getting really frustrated yesterday, and not because the game. I would have been fine if I didn't have other things going on. I had to do that meeting yesterday,
Right.
and so I was like stressing about that, and I had just a packed Monday, and so eventually after like 2 tries of the Down, I'm like, you know what? I think I've broken. I think I'm just gonna switch games. So like in the middle of the episode, I just hop into Sonic. Like I go to the PlayStation
I saw
home
you had
menu, and
played that
just,
on PlayStation. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's weird.
I'm like, what do I got? Oh, Sonic, and then I didn't like it, and so, but I finished out the episode, and I was just, I was so done. But afterwards, when I was able to reflect on it, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, since my arcane on that character is pretty high, is grind till my strength can hold the Ludwig's blade, and then just equip that and then use that, because it has that one move where it's literally like a vertical chop where your character takes the whole sword in the air and
That seems
does
to
a
be-
vertical chop.
Yeah, it seems to be a really popular weapon for her and anything else that requires a long reach.
And so I think I'm just gonna end up doing that, which isn't bad. I just need to unlock. I have to remember that the first or whatever. Just need to do a chalice dungeon on that character to get a better farming spot for souls, because the only farming spot right now I have available is the lecture building one.
Gotcha. I'll send you
And I
my
don't-
my farming
Okay.
glyph. I think you just need to do like the first one or two to get to it.
Okay. Yeah, and I just don't have all the blood runes either on this New Game Plus character. Like I said, I missed a lot on this character, and I didn't get everything until we did our one blood tinge.
Blood
builds.
tinge build, yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of it being more difficult in New Game Plus, it seems to be pretty popular to, against beasts, have a serrated weapon. And so up until now, I've been using my Hunter Axe, which is not serrated.
Okay.
And so I've been like picking through a couple of the ones that are listed as serrated, and it's supposed to do 20% more damage to beast. But I just quite haven't found one that I am as confident with yet. But I'm afraid.
What about the saw cleaver?
Yeah, I could do like the saw cleaver or the saw spear. And I've got those upgraded a little bit just to try out, but they just don't feel as fun to me. But my fear is,
Yeah.
as I come into New Game Plus, I'm going to need that little bit of a boost.
I mean, you can always go and do the cane, and then have it in whip form, because then you got range.
Oh yeah.
And I personally love the cane. Like it grows on you fast. The cane is really fun. What else was I gonna? There's something else I was going off about that. Oh, and then like the guy who I've been watching killing the bosses, going off killing beasts, is he was using beast pellets.
Most people
And they
seem to on
actually-
them, and they seem to help a lot.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, I've been selling these for souls. I should
Actually use them.
yeah, I should actually use them. I just didn't know it. Just the beasthood is one of those hidden stats in the game that you just don't know
And isn't
exactly what it
explained anywhere
does.
How
Yeah,
damage scales with it.
yeah, and I kind of was waiting to use the beast pellets when I got
Like a beast
the
claw set.
claws, the beast claws, and then I had the beast runes, so I was just like full ape.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever, that's just me. Another thing, just to speed along real quick, unless you had any closing thoughts.
I did not know.
I wanted to talk about. So I thought of an idea of because I might be in quarantine at least till June. It sounds like. So I thought of an idea that we could do, and then we could come back on one of the podcasts that we do each week. Is a weekly challenge.
Okay.
So the weekly challenge, and this can apply to anything, but I thought games right now, just because it's easier. But it could be, again, anything in life that we could do. So the first one I thought of was how far you can get in Bloodborne without dying
Without dying at all.
from start to finish. And then like we could just record just our footage or whatever, or just bring back the experience on the podcast and talk about it.
Okay.
I think that'd be kind of interesting doing like just weekly challenges, something for us to do just for us, and then I think it'd just be fun. So if you wanted to start that.
Yeah, I'm down for that. I might have to give it a couple tries to make it beyond, the first lamp.
Oh yeah. So let's do some rule sets. How about that?
All right.
So in Bloodborne, spoiler alert, for those of you who don't know, you're supposed to die right at the beginning to go to Hunter's Dream, or get to the lamp and then go to Hunter's Dream. And that's how you get your first weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying from when you get your first weapon, it's like when you get Pokeballs in a Nuzlocke. That's when the perma
Oh, well, we can just
starts.
run through.
What was that?
We can just run through.
Oh, you could just run through the game. I guess it's how you want to go about doing it, I guess.
Well,
I didn't think about just sprinting through it.
because there's only a couple enemies between you and the first lamp. You don't actually
Oh,
have
yeah.
to fight any of them.
That is true. Yeah, so I say right when you get your first weapon, and right at that first lamp is when it starts.
Okay.
And then you just see how far you can go. I don't know if you want to establish the rule set of like sprinting through to bosses, because I don't think I'm that good to go and take a boss on so weak,
Yeah. Maybe the cleric beast I could sprint through and get early game, but definitely not Gascoigne.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So I guess just do whatever. We'll try it, and then you get let's say you get 3 tries.
3 tries at it.
You get 3 tries, so you get 3 characters to try and
All right.
do it. I'm gonna personally just record mine because it might be funny for you to watch later.
I can probably get some recording going pretty quick on there then too.
But I just thought it would be something fun to do, just to add to the meta of that is Bloodborne. And then the other thing, real quick, is trophies in games. I had this realization that I think trophies and 100% completing games in that kind of ruins a game for you a little bit. The reason I say that is because I'm stuck on the Amygdala and the Chalice dungeons, and in order to platinum
The
Bloodborne,
game.
you need to get through all the Chalice dungeons, and it's very hard, and it makes me not want to do it. So I haven't played and I say played because I played it for Pillow Talk yesterday, but I haven't actually sat down and played Bloodborne since we tried to do
Amygdala.
Amygdala. Just because it's a pain in the butt, and I don't want to deal with it. And I think wanting to complete the game is ruining my experience in that aspect. But I know once the platinum is
there, it'll be rewarding.
is done, then I can just play the game.
I don't want to
and
brag
just-
or anything.
You got it? You got it?
Got what?
You got the platinum?
No, I'm 2 endings away from it, and I've got my arcane character sitting at one of them.
So once I beat the Chalice dungeon and beat the game with this character,
You'll have
I will be at where you're at.
okay with one more ending to go.
Yeah, because I'll have gotten the secret Chalice boss. I'll have gotten all the weapons because I just have to beat not Gascoigne. I just have to beat Gehrman to get the burial blade on this character. That'll give me that trophy, and then all I have left is 2 more endings, and I plan to do the one ending where you get spoiler alert. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to tell you.
Yeah, I'm
You have
familiar
seen
with
them
all
all?
the endings.
Okay, the one where you're absorbed by the moon presence, basically, and you become Gehrman. And then my final character is going to be very poetic, so it'll be the last trophy I need, where you accept Gehrman to just kill you and wake up from the dream. I think that's very, as the last trophy, super, poetic in the way of, oh, yes, platinum, it's over, this nightmare is done.
Right, in the way that you fought over and over again through the Hunter's Dream, and then you just finally screw it.
I think that's super cool fitting. But have you been playing any more Jurassic Park?
I have a little bit. I'm still in the campaign. which is pretty long because you essentially get access to the 5 islands, and as you progress through one, you unlock another one. And in the middle, you get one that is like a sandbox mode where you have unlimited money and you don't have to worry about doing contracts for your 3 advisors.
Okay.
And so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like in the middle of that
All
campaign
right.
at the moment on that freebie island.
I apologize for not I haven't played it yet. I got caught up
What,
with
you
Death
got, like-
Stranding.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, were you like working or something?
Yeah, I'm working. I have a problem with working. I realized. So Sarah, this is like after the meeting last night, so it's like 9:30,
Ugh.
and I punched out and I worked. I think I worked like a total of like maybe 10 hours yesterday,
God.
and I'm talking to Sarah, and she goes, "Yeah, Kayla, her friend down here, wanted to do a Jackbox thing, where if whoever's not familiar with Jackbox is, it's basically a digital version of a ton of party games that everyone can connect to via their phone. So only one person has to have the game, and you can do it over distances. Like I'm going to be doing it with my family tonight.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's super fun. We should actually do it one night, Joshua. They're super fun and just goofy party games.
I am game for that.
And then you can like video call and stuff and see your friends and that. Super fun. So she mentioned she wanted to do that, and it was like, and that didn't start till like 10:30, which was awful because I was just
Tired
tired.
already.
But I still had to edit Pillow Talk. And I get on and we're starting, and Sarah's like, "Are you working?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm still working." And then you hear like the comments from her friends, just like, "Really? It's like 10:30," and I'm like, "Yeah, I have a problem."
You're a bit of a workaholic in that regard.
yeah. Realization of like, oh my god, I think I work too much.
Even if you don't have work to do, you'll make it for yourself.
I know it's a problem. It's a problem, but I'm working on it. That's why I
It's good.
try not to work on the weekend. But back to Jurassic Park. Yeah, I apologize for not getting caught up so we can like play it over a Discord call.
That's all right.
'cause
We can play it over a Discord call in different spots.
That's true. I just wanted to be like caught up, so we could experience the same things, kind of like the old days.
I gotcha.
But no, I've been trying to get. I think I'm going to tonight, trying to catch up to where Abe is at, because I just have to get through the swamp so I can help him with the Abyss Watchers.
Right. Oh, he's still stuck on the Abyss Watchers in Dark Souls?
Well, Final Fantasy VII remake came out, and he's been playing that.
Okay. Understandable.
So I'm like, okay, this gives me time to catch up. I just need like a solid like hour, maybe hour and a half to catch up. And then Death Stranding has totally gripped my attention. It's finally clicked, like that it's like what it is and why it's fun, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's really cool because and this game is not for everyone. I think it's something everyone should experience, as in maybe watch
Somebody's
all the
playthrough.
cutscenes, yeah, or something like that. But you're basically a glorified UPS worker. But before you take deliveries, you have to do the whole prep for an adventure. Like you have to make X amount of grenades. Should I bring
Every good UPS
Extra
driver should have grenades on hand.
yeah, should I bring extra shoes? How should I balance my cargo? And then I found a bike in the game, like a motorcycle, and then the game just was so much easier. And then I got to like the second act, and they took away my bike.
Those bastards.
Yeah, and so now I'm on foot. But just the voice acting, the story, the cinematics, it's all incredible. And I finally got to the part where Troy Baker comes out for the first time. He's like the lead villain,
Ooh.
and he just crushes it. And the game's so good. It's a really good. It's definitely an art piece game for sure. That's why I say it's not for everyone, but I do think everyone should experience it, whether it be through just watching the cutscenes or watching a playthrough or something. It almost made me want to do a playthrough of it on the channel just so people can experience it, because it's like you want to share it. But
In the earlier days of YouTube, before Let's Plays and playthroughs were a thing, the way I would, because the Final Fantasy games were pretty cool, but they're long games to get through.
oh yeah,
And so for some of them, I would just look up. People would make cutscene compilations, like you said, of the game, and I would watch through those, since Let's Plays weren't a thing.
a thing. Well, it's like its own movie, with
It
when
is.
you have the quality of Final Fantasy and Death Stranding graphics and technology, and the way that those developers were able to utilize the system at the time to make something like that moving. I feel like if there is a compilation of just the cutscenes to form the story, then do it. I mean, there's a whole one for Dark Souls.
Right.
There's a whole one for like God of War, and I mean, at that point, I feel like if someone has made a compilation and made their own movie out of all this stuff, give it a watch to at least
If
at
you're
least 30
mildly
minutes of your
interested.
time or something. Yeah, to check it out for sure. Going off that, I don't know if this happened at the time that we recorded last, but Wisconsin went and made their citizens vote during the pandemic. Not made, I should say,
Right.
but
Didn't provide an alternative to voting in person.
yeah, and I thought that was pretty ridiculous. I got a little mad about it. That's why I had to put it in all caps.
I think
when-
that happened right around when we recorded last. I hadn't caught it on the news in reading my news at that point, though.
Okay.
But in contrast to that, here, for the township we're in, they have a vote that's coming up on May 5th for basically renewing a tax on property for funding schools.
Okay.
And they sent us just without any sort of prompting from anyone, just sent out absentee ballots to everyone who is registered a month in
Oh, they
advance.
did? Oh, wow.
So yeah, we got those like last week,
That's super nice
right? And like
that they did that.
that's kind of the way it should be done. And
Right.
it's also for something I wouldn't usually go out of my way to vote for, since it's the only thing on the ballot.
Yeah, so now
However, with
it
the
actually-
convenience, right, of it being
you might as well.
exactly
See, that's how it should be.
just
And I
making
can
it
see
more accessible.
Yeah, and I can see people throwing a fit over, oh, it's using X amount of money as postage or what have you to send that out for, every election.
Sure.
But in the grand scheme of things, like the people driving to the election, it's costing money gas wise.
Right. Instead of everybody spending their own money, it's distributed, but it's still spending the money to get there.
Right. And then that doesn't include the impact of traveling on the environment or
Well, and the postal service here in the States has always been in a bit of a financial struggle. So any little help they can get is probably helpful too.
yeah, hey, there we go. So whatever. It's government. Yeah. But the reason I thought it was funny, the Wisconsin thing, it's not funny, but is that my cousins and an aunt and uncle are in Wisconsin, and it just made me think of them, like, and I love those cousins dearly. I love all my cousins, but these cousins, our opinions on that align. They are extremely liberal and extremely well educated, way more than I am, way more than I am, and I'm just picturing the reaction to these Wisconsin primaries. It was the primary, right?
I believe so. I believe we're just at the tail end now of presidential primaries.
Yeah, and so just I just want to sit down with them and hear what they're saying. It just makes me laugh. Oh God.
At the level of
Just-
incompetence.
of that their government provided, and then how mad they probably are right now. And when they go on tangents, it's funny as hell. It is so funny.
Just let
'Cause you-
loose.
Oh yeah, and you learn a lot in their tangents too. It's like it's funny, it's educating, it's a good time. So I can't wait to see them. Hopefully this summer. And I want to hear their opinions on it. So that's why I wanted to talk about the Wisconsin
Situation.
Because if they are somehow listening, please call me so we can talk about it.
Come on the podcast.
Yeah, come on the podcast, man.
We have guests.
Yeah, we have guests all the time. I don't think we've ever had a guest. Have we ever had a guest on Pillow Talk with us? Like it was the two of us and then a guest
On like a side table.
on anything.
I know you recorded a couple of episodes of something with Ashley at some point or another.
Was Ashley with us?
I don't think so. I think it was just the two of you.
I'm curious if there's ever been when we had. I know I've done things where you weren't able to record, so I, either did something solo or
With somebody else.
or a last minute sub.
We just need to bring on guests and interview them.
Be like, hey, what's going on?
We'll be the next Joe Rogans.
Oh God, I'm not a big fan of Joe Rogan. He's like the man's Oprah, He's Oprah for men.
A bit. I admittedly haven't watched much of any of his stuff, but it doesn't appear at first glance to be something I would enjoy.
No, I haven't watched a lot of his either. I've seen clips of his show. I've never sat down and listened to his podcast, so I don't want to
Jump.
to judge,
Right.
obviously. But the clips I did watch, I will say I agreed 100% with his opinion on them. The one that sticks out is when the celebrities did the Imagine song
Oh,
and
yeah.
on Twitter when that all started. And he's just like, how stupid and full of yourself do you have to be to think that you singing a song horribly, mind you, with like 4 other celebrities
Is going to do
like,
anything.
to make someone happy, to make it better? Like, you're so full of yourself. That's tooting your own horn. Like, really? And then there was another, the guest that he had was ripping on it too. And he's like, I was ripping on it so hard, I decided to try my own rendition of Imagine. And then it like got to him. then it cut to him like showing his video of him doing Imagine. But he thought it was so dumb and stupid. He just started laughing in the middle of it, and he's like, "I can't do this.
Can't take myself
I
seriously."
can't. I can't." Yeah. So no, I just thought it was. I don't know. I feel like being a celebrity. I don't know how. We'll never know what that's like. But how like it just completely alters your perception of what is acceptable. And
I don't know if it necessarily alters the perception or if that's just a line of work, if you would, that attracts a certain egotistical mindset.
oh, for sure, that's true. I guess there has to be some of that you bring when you're famous, like you already had that mindset prior.
I'm sure
So
it
that-
doesn't help to not encourage that, though.
No, not at all. I always think if I were to become famous and I was on some big show, like for example, like Ellen or Howard Stern's radio show, and I would just literally be dressed how I am I'm in chill running
Sweatpants.
pants right now.
No, running
Yep.
pants.
That can zip up if I get too hot. On
a
the
V-neck
sides?
with such a deep V, they'd probably have to
this-
censor your nipples.
This V-neck actually just reaches my nipple.
I knew it.
It's not too deep. It's not wide because it has like a button-up V-neck bit.
Okay.
So you can still see chest hair, And then this jacket I got at Plato's Closet. It's actually apparently a bougie brand jacket, and I didn't know that. So I'd be that guy walking around. They're like, "Hey, where'd you get that jacket?" And I'm like, "I don't know, Goodwill." And
Right.
yeah, and it's just like, I just be like this. And that I just don't understand how people could do that. I just don't get it. I mean, I just don't, man. I don't, and I'm not gonna try to because I'm getting worked up right now thinking about it. I just don't know how you could like. I just don't know how you could not be yourself. Just totally throw on like a fake persona, like all this garbage, just to appease people, to make people like you. If you're already that famous and that successful, who gives a fuck? Who honestly cares what you look like, what you do? Whatever you're gonna do is gonna be forgiven because you're at that level already. And I don't know. I'm done.
And this is why you can never be famous, Patrick. You just don't have the mindset.
I don't have the mindset. It frustrates me. It was one of the many things that I was okay. So let's talk about some self-help right now
All right.
that I highly advise people doing. We're gonna go off the topic of try something different that we had last week as our rec. Not last week. This will be on Wednesday. On Wednesday's episode.
Speaking of which, go ahead and let us know in the comments what you did.
Oh yes, please do.
If you're
Please
watching
do.
it on YouTube, obviously.
Yes, the rec that we had on Wednesday was trying something new. And for example, like I always like to dye my hair, haven't in a while. I dyed it and I absolutely love it. It makes me feel fresh. It makes me feel cool.
So
I feel
fresh.
confident. So fresh, just like Crest white strips. I am fresh as hell. So another thing to do that helped boost my mental state, especially when I'm seeing in the same building, same room, constantly. Another thing I highly advise doing is meditate. It seems like it's a pain in the ass and it seems like it's a time sink, but when you're sitting in front of your TV or you're just sitting in front of your screen or you're just looking at your phone for like 10 minutes when you wake up in the morning, you could take that 10 minutes of time and to meditate and work on yourself. And some people don't think they need meditation, and those people definitely do if you think you don't.
Yeah, it's, that would be, I'd agree with that. Anyone who thinks they don't need some sort of, whether it's meditation or the people who don't think they need help with something in their life are usually the people who need it the most.
Yes, they just are just so deep and not realizing it. And I just highly recommend you don't have to download an app. You don't have to do anything. What you could even do is you could type in, I'll send you the link, Joshua, so you can post it in the description box.
Okay.
Below. I found it's just live streaming meditational. Is that, I don't know if that's a word, but it's meditation music.
Okay.
And it's just like little waves of sound here and here to make you just think and ponder. And then all you have to do is just evenly breathe and then just think about what you're feeling and how you can address that. That's all you got to do. 10 minutes, then you're done.
Not even
Then you're
necessarily
done.
how to address it, just kind of acknowledge what, is,
It's
causing you
there.
stress or is even good or...
And then you can even, another thing I think people have when they try to start meditation, an issue they have is focusing and having all that like background sound come to you, noticing everything and not focusing on your breathing. So count when you breathe, count to 10, restart. And then all that sound that you're hearing, that background sound, just let it happen because it kind of is like alluding to what your thoughts are like all the thoughts you have in the day that are like background noise coming in. It helps you deal with that better, and it's a tool. Meditation's a tool that you'll get better at. It's a skill. You have to work on it. So just keep doing it. I highly recommend it. That's my self-help tip for today. Thank you for listening.
I was going to say something on that, but I've completely lost my train of thought. So
You were meditating.
That's right.
Yeah. So how have you been enjoying the pandemic, Joshua, so far?
It's been a mixed bag. There's obviously the negative of there's an entire lack of structure for me at the moment since I'm not working of what to do with my day.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of that has led to me like, oh, I could do this project around the house. For example, I wanted to put some shelves above our desks just to get a little bit more storage in the room, or I
Uh-huh.
wanted to add some additional lights to some rooms. But all of that basically requires me to go to the hardware store, and that kind of breaks
Uh,
self quarantine for the most part because it's not essential.
yeah. That
A,
sucks.
a little
That really
bit. So I'm
sucks.
like, all right, well, what do I use to fill my time? Obviously, playing a few games here and there has been a bulk of it. Um, but on the flip side, there's some definite positives to it. I Ashley's working from home, so we've basically been home together for the last 3 weeks now, just
Uh-huh.
like 24/7, which is it's kind of nice because most weekdays we see each other for like 5 hours after work, and that's it.
Uh-huh. No, for sure.
And obviously, I like a little bit of alone time, and so I can. There's enough space in the house where I can get that for an hour or two, or after she goes to bed. But it's nice to be able to spend extra time. And then the dog is super happy that we're home all the time too.
Oh, I bet.
So little silver linings out of the situation.
Yeah, and that's such a good mindset to have.
And also
Like,
a practice skill, not something that necessarily naturally comes from me or anyone else. One of the things that seems to work best for me is I can't remember what they call it, but basically when you have a thought that is either very negative, like oh man, this sucks, or maybe like a self-deprecating thought of man, you're so dumb, is
uh-huh.
is having another phrase in mind that you can replace that with, and no matter how stupid it sounds, just to be like, all right, no, you're not dumb, this isn't stupid, this is fine, you're doing all right. And that's
Oh,
that's one
for
of the things that
sure.
helped me a ton,
Oh, for sure.
just to
That's
have a good
that's
mindset.
that's excellent. No, I really like that because I uh I've kind of been doing that with insults,
Mm-hmm.
and you've probably noticed it. Instead of saying like, "Oh, you're such a dumbass" or "You're stupid," it's always like, "You're being such a goob," or something that's lighthearted in that because it's a joke when you to you it's a joke, but
Mm-hmm.
the other person can take it as, "Oh, they think I'm stupid. That really hurt."
And even if
And
they don't necessarily take it that way, hearing something negative like that about you all the time will get to you eventually.
oh, it will for sure. And a lot of people, like you said, even when they mess something up or whatever, they vocalize how dumb they are. Like they don't always internal it. Most of the time, uh, they vocalize it out loud that
Mm-hmm.
they're stupid.
Yep.
And if you're not making the that vocalization and you hear someone else say they're stupid or what have any negative thing, I highly recommend telling them that they're not, or counteracting it as well as mentioning what Joshua said.
It's,
It helps. It helps a lot.
it does, especially when you or somebody else, says, "Oh, I'm dumb." Be like, "No, I screwed up. That's okay to make a mistake. You're
Yeah,
good. You're fine."
yeah, yeah. No, it's true, and it's a lot of no, it's a really hard mindset to start
It is. You
because
feel very self-conscious and very, for lack of a better word, dumb when you say it
uh,
starting out.
and but no, it's an excellent point, Joshua. That was really good. Another thing is, oh, I just forgot it. I had it. I just had it. What was it? Oh, I was gonna go off of your quarantine thing because you're stuck with Ashley
Yeah.
and Sam
Mm-hmm.
and all these individuals for a week, and you're not used to it. As one, I wish I had a pet right now, like real bad. Uh, just to another reason to get outside,
Right.
to remind myself to get outside, to have more accountability. I also have always wanted my own pet. I have had my own pet and then don't have anymore. It was awful. And I just, yeah, just it's nice to have. But the other thing is, when this first started, this whole quarantine started, Sarah and I just got into we're still figuring out living with each other.
Right. It's a transition.
And then it's like a huge transition. And like we still are, like people who think I'm in love with this person, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to marry them, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be with them forever, blah, blah, blah. Yo, you don't know that person until you live with them.
It's
like,
true.
You really don't.
If there's one recommendation I could make to people before getting married, is live with them first. For a while.
And that's what I told Sarah. I was like, minimum 2 years. If you want to think about marriage, you got to wait 2 years.
Because there's a lot that goes into living with someone, and you might get along great with them until you live with them.
Yeah, and then you live with them, and then you live with all their like idiosyncrasies,
all the little things they do and don't do, and drives you nuts.
It literally does. And then having one of you has to have the courage to start talking about it and to start talking more. And once you start doing that, it helps, but also don't expect the other person to start talking about it right away to carry that conversation. It takes time. And that relationship advice,
and even if when you are comfortable with living with somebody, the best advice I can give is if somebody's doing something little that bothers you, just tell them straight away.
Oh yeah,
be like, hey,
for sure.
Obviously come at it from a good point of view. Don't be like, man, just go off on them. You'd be like, hey, so you're not doing this or you're doing that, and I kind of get that, but this is how it's kind of affecting me, and can we maybe curb that just a little bit, that habit or lack of a habit.
Or I would go off how I learned to like not reprimand like employees or people you worked with, and it took a while to learn this because I had no training. Was like start with a positive,
always positive reinforcement,
get to the negative, but make it lighthearted, like you said, and then get to another positive,
or
finish it off. Finish it.
The first positive.
Yeah, make it a positive sandwich with constructive criticism.
Right.
And hopefully the other person
is receptive,
acknowledges it and tries to fix it. If they don't, I mean, you got to just you can't just blow it off because it will build up and it will be frustrating. But, some people aren't, the person you're working with is not like you. Remember that. I don't think people realize that there are not carbon copies of you in existence. No one else has the same mindset in that as you. So don't expect them to
react the same
follow
way
along.
You might.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has a different background and experiences that kind of shape how they handle different things.
Yes, we're all human, so deal with it. How much of this, Joshua? This is a little behind the scenes for our listeners. How much of this COVID stuff did we cover? I didn't cross anything out.
We've touched on most of it. I do have a small update on. So I'm not working right now, so I have unemployment through the state. Whoops. Sorry, I've got a cat.
Are you jamming?
No, I've got it's the spring on the microphone stand, and I've got a cat on me that's just all over the place.
It sounded like you smacked your acoustic guitar.
So the federal government has, finally passed their bill and all that, and with that, and this is unfortunate because it doesn't help everybody like some other places are doing. but those that are able to qualify for unemployment can receive an additional $600 a week via federal unemployment on top of their state unemployment.
Oh, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That almost makes me. I would make more money if I was unemployed then.
That's kind of what I'm looking at next week, when, assuming that is still the case,
Uh-huh.
right, I'm basically making the same as or more than I would be if I was working.
And is that a dumb question, but how much of that is taxed?
So you're still, obviously, you have to pay tax. They have the option to take some tax out of it when you receive it, and I think that option here in Michigan is either 10 or 15%.
Okay.
So it may not be as much as you need taken out, depending on your situation, or it might be more. But that's you'll kind of know that based on your previous year's taxes, where I might have to set aside a little bit more here and there to pay back in taxes later.
Uh-huh.
But it's still there and a decent option for anyone who does qualify. I know there are a lot of people who either through working part-time jobs, the state requires you to make so much and work so much to qualify, which is kind of dumb.
Yeah.
So people who don't work enough, or people who work in the service industry who don't report enough of their tips as taxable, therefore don't report as much income, and then may not qualify that way as well. So there's a lot of problems with the way they're doing it.
Agreed.
I think it was Canada who did just like a flat, every single person who was unemployed or reduced employment or something basically filled out a thing on a website, and I think they get like $2,000 a month.
Oh, wow.
Like super easy.
See, why do we have to make everything so complex? Like, what is the point?
The point is somebody in there has to make money somewhere. And I don't know if it's... I don't know.
I think that's another reason why I put Wisconsin in bold, and I should have, made a little like bullet point below it. But the only reason that I can think of that, and there's probably more, but that there weren't any absentee ballots set out for this primary, was they wanted people to come out and vote because someone in power wants to either retain their position
or affect the
and
voting
profit
demographic in some way.
off that. Yeah, I know. And I just feel like there's a lot of people in this country right now that are trying to profit off this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, there was a number of senators who, knowing that this was such an issue back in January, had sold a lot of stock.
Really?
Yes, prior to the big crash, knowing that it was an issue in China and would likely spread.
And it's like, why aren't you telling the people that put you in office to give you that position, to give you that opportunity, to give you that power? Why aren't you informing us?
Right.
Why?
Those political positions are supposed to be for the people, and the system we have is it's a money-making job, and it shouldn't be.
And I don't know if I've ever, I don't know. I think it's just being older now and having to be more independent at this point in my life.
That more of it comes to light.
Acknowledging all this. Yeah. And it's just like, really? Like, what do you need all that money for? You don't. I don't know.
There's a certain point there in the money, too, where you can't spend it on anything other than luxury goods.
Like, you're just having to have it, And it just really sickens me and makes me very upset. It makes me very upset that the reason why my meditation session took a lot longer than it did today was I hit like this block in my mind why I was so like frustrated and nitpicky and like getting irritated a lot recently. Like I haven't been vocally expressing it. It's been all internal.
Right,
And like
but
I don't
you
like
get in a
keeping
mindset
that.
where like little things start to bother you, and
Yeah. Yeah. And you just don't want to be approached or what have you. And I'm like, why is this happening? I know like I'm stuck inside. I know the only person I've had face to face communication with is Sarah. Uh, I know it's, I don't want to go outside because I fear this pandemic. You know, it's just like this whole thing where I'm at, and I hit this block of like, what's causing all this? You know, what's starting all this? Where is this all stemming from? And I couldn't like break it down. Like it was a block that there's something there in my mind somewhere. I just don't know how to get into it and like what caused like that. I found the root of evil, you know, and I don't. And I'm like, how did this root start? Where did it stem from? And I was trying to break it down for like my 10-minute session turned to like 20, you know, just I was trying to like break it down the next like 10 minutes. I'm like, I have to Josh was waiting for me. I have to eat lunch still. But no, it was very enlightening, and it might sound very hippy dippy, but you do acknowledge and become more aware of yourself and your mind space, your mind palace. And no, it was just really frustrating that I couldn't like, I know it's there. I know it's a problem somewhere. I found it, but it's also comforting knowing that I found the problem. I don't know what it is, but I know where it's at, and I know how to kind of counter or avoid it for the time being
Right.
until I figure it out. But
one of the things that that strikes me, where sometimes I'm in that mood and I'm like, all right, well, what is this one singular root cause that's causing me, you know, the anxiety and irritability? And at least for me, it rarely seems to be just a one thing or a really bad
for
thing.
sure.
It's just a lot of little tiny things here and there, and you're just kind of stuck in your usual regular rut and just doing something a little bit different and acknowledging all of the little things seems to be the
that have been adding up.
right, are just kind of adding up. There's no, you know, one big bad thing to cause all your problems.
Oh, for sure. And I just and again, it differs from person to person, and that was just the experience I had, because I was like sort of, because how I meditate, I mean, there's a variety of ways too, but I kind of eventually let my thoughts come to me, like what's on the forefront, like what I'm feeling and what's causing it. And I'm like, okay, I'm being irritated by like this, and this, but why am I being irritated by this? Like what am I trying to do at the moment to get done that's causing these irritations to flare up?
Right.
And finding that, and then realizing like, okay, so things are impacting this that are causing these irritations. Why is it happening? Oh, I want to make this video or whatever perfect, because whoever does end up watching it, you know, I want them to have a moment or for this to help them. And if it's not I don't know, it's just like, it's like a whole like chain connection. And like you said, there might never be a like one root of the problem. That was just like my specific experience, but there's always something to unravel. So
Right.
just FYI, people, when you're doing that. But any closing thoughts, Joshua? Any things before we get to our Rex?
Yeah. Since we're on the topic of it, I would say one of the most helpful things when it comes to being stressed and irritable and kind of getting down on yourself is, I don't even want to say like talking it over with somebody else, but even just listen to somebody else's problems.
Oh yeah.
There was a group therapy session that I was a part of. Oh God, this was several years ago now, and it's easy when you're kind of feeling down on yourself to feel like you're the only person in the world who has problems. Reality is everybody has them. Everybody feels terrible sometimes, and their problems may be not entirely related to yours at all, but it's still kind of good to hear what they have to say, and if you can connect with them a little bit. There was a gentleman there who I ended up talking with most of the time I was there. And this guy's like twice my age and comes from a very different background and carries very different political beliefs from what I would normally
Associate with.
well, not even just associate with, but just different from what I have. And even then, it's still nice to listen to what, those people have and connect with them on a different level.
And that's beautiful. Like, I mean, perspective is, if anyone takes anything away from that experience, it's perspective. Like, you're not the only one suffering. Remember, if you think it really sucks for you right now, someone else, is going through just as much pain or worse.
Not to discount what you're going through, but
yeah, but I guess what I said, could be taken negatively, but remember that you're not alone, and to just keep on keeping on, doing what you're doing. And creative outlet is one of the things I found that helps me a lot. It might not help everyone, but
no, definitely not for everyone. I would say I'm less of a creative outlet person than Patrick, but
just, going off that, this is completely a different topic.
Oh, all right.
I want to mention it real quick before we get to our recommendations. I have realized what I want to do with my life, and I don't know. I'm going to try my best throughout my whole life to make it happen. So I'm watching all these. So I've kind of branched out my YouTube viewing. Usually it was to the couple of the same YouTubers who are, for a lack of a better term, Let's Players. But a variety of these YouTubers, these Let's Players, like, made their channel a company to branch out and do other things. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And I didn't really have this realization until I was watching these other YouTubers, because Sarah always in the background has all sorts of different YouTubers on. So I am, exposed to all these different types of content creators. And a lot of them do a lot of different things, but under the same, channel name. Yeah. And this one video, this guy was talking about, I started up a production company, but he wasn't referring to like a separate thing. He was referring to his like channel as the production company. Like, he made a production company with the name, it's the Try Guys for anyone who's watching. He made the production company, the Try Guys, and all they do is they produce content, they produce books, blah, blah, blah. And I realized right then and there that my dream in life has always been, I didn't know it in the back of my head, is to own my own production company. Like, no matter how small or big, but able to, one, be my own boss, have my own employees, make it a great job experience, and then just produce stuff. Like, just a creative place for people to put out stuff and, make a living off that. And I didn't realize it until then, because throughout the past 4 weeks of quarantine, that's literally all I've been doing is my own self production company, and I love it. It's amazing. And I just thought about what it would be if I had, just a little more money, a little more time, like a little more help. That's why I was like, hey, Joshua, you want to do the podcast again? Because I'm like on a roll. Yeah. So I had that realization, and it was awesome. So I wanted to share that because it was a really enlightening moment when I was having to wait for the dye in my hair to set. I was like, oh, wow, this is cool. So yeah, again, this quarantine, if anything positive comes out of the pandemic, it is a lot of mindfulness, I would say, on your part and on others. I'll leave my opinions with that. But Joshua, if you don't have anything else to say, what is your recommendation for this episode?
My recommendation for this episode, oh boy,
I haven't really thought of a real good solid one, so I put you under the spot.
I'll go with this. In the spirit of Patrick's revelation and sort of the self-help and care, explore something new to yourself, whether that's a hobby or like side work you want to, take, well, this probably isn't a great time for it, but like if somebody wanted to like be an amateur photographer and wanted to try some things out, just go out and do it. Try something new. A lot of you probably have the extra time for it right now. So,
and my advice is act like it matters. Act like it is actually your job now.
Act like you're a professional and take it seriously.
Super, super rewarding. It is super rewarding because when you act like a professional and you put it out there, the comments and like critiques you get back are professional, they're legit, and they feel good. So I highly recommend doing that. Highly recommend it. My recommendation, I knew we were gonna do this, and I'm not prepared.
That's all right. We can have one recommendation.
But I want to drop one. I really want to. I like recommending things. Let's see. What is? Have I watched anything?
Recommendation from Patrick. Plan ahead.
Plan ahead. Yes, please do. Oh God. Have I would say my recommendation right now. Joshua said to do something that you've always wanted to do. If you're able, current limits with the current limits, I would say to go off my meditation thing, take a moment to just chill out. And when I say chill out, don't chill out in front of
the TV.
A TV. Just go, if you're able to, and you have a deck or you have the space, sit outside for like literally 10 minutes or 15 minutes, or just sit on your couch for 10, 15 minutes and just kind of just sit there. It's really nice. It's a nice break, especially if you're working from home and you just want to keep working. You got to remember that you're working from home. Home is not work, and to separate that with some sort of break in between. Mm-hmm. I highly recommend that. I also would like to recommend listening to this podcast. Check out Pillow Talk. My Twitter handle is at Mr. Patrick King. Just check those out. If you want to see us or talk about or have us talk about anything, please mention it. This podcast, even though the beginning 30, 40 minutes of it is misleading, it's not just meant to be a video game podcast.
Apparently.
Like we said, Joshua and I, it's one of the ways we bond is through video games. One of the ways we pass time is through video games. One of the things we enjoy is video games. So yes, we'll be talking about it, but we can talk about other things. So if you want to hear us talk about anything else, please let us know, and we will do that. So with that, do you have any closing words, Joshua?
I don't. Just thanks everybody if you made it this far for listening to us for an hour.
Yes, thank you. And we will see you on the next episode of The Side Table. Cue that intro music, brother.